Grand Island is a railroad hotspot, home to 3 railroads, and it's also where I filmed the majority of the trains I've seen over the years. So that begs the question, which railroad in Grand Island is the most important? Well, let's start off with the first one. BNSF, everything just flies through town. Nothing stops in town, there's no locals, anything like that. What about Nebraska Central? They serve a little bit of Grand Island, mainly around the yard, but they mainly run up north to wherever their line goes. Well, but UP is the one that does the main serving of Grand Island. So that begs the question, which UP train is the most important? Well, there's 3 different kinds that come to mind immediately. The grain trains, obviously, because of the elevator in town. The locals, because, there's places that need to be switched every now and then. And the high priority Z trains, which it's their only way to get through Nebraska is to go through Grand Island. But none of those trains matter, as there's only one train that you never really get to see very often because it only comes like once or twice a month. But it's the most important train because without it, Grand Island would not be a place you could live at. I'm of course talking about the coal train, Grand Island's most important train because without it, we would have no power whatsoever. And so today, I'm going to go over the history of the power plant, why we have that train, and show you why it's a cool train to catch and how it operates. So let's jump right in. First, let's start off the power plant itself. The Platte Generating Station, which is what it's called, is located on 1035 West Wildwood Drive and is connected to the UP main line via a branch line that runs just from the switch a few yards west of the signals at milepost 148.1. It then runs from the switch and goes all the way south through multiple crossings, and it eventually reaches the power plant near Wildwood Drive. The plant itself has a giant loop track and a couple spare tracks, and is capable of handling up to 80 and 100 car long coal trains, which is pretty good. The tracks are from a former UP branch line that ran all the way to Hastings, passing Doniphan, Nebraska, Camp Augustine, and others across the Platte River. However, most of that track is now abandoned. What remains on the line is what's called the Platte River Power Plant Lead, and has crossings at West 2nd Street, North Blaine Street, West Louise Street, over a walking/bike trail that's another former road line that I'll get to in another video, West Stoley Park Road, Highway 34, West Shimmer Drive, and finally right before the plant at West Wildwood Drive, also known as River on the UP timetable for the line. The plant itself is a single-unit coal burning plant that produces 110 megawatts of power and was opened in 1982 to assist and eventually replace a smaller C.W. Burdick natural gas plant, which was later decommissioned in 2017 and is now sadly demolished. This plant receives one coal train about once or twice a month, usually on Wednesdays, but times can vary as it is an as-needed coal train. Now that I've got the plant itself squared away, let's get into how the train operates. First, the train is loaded at one of the mini mines in Wyoming. It's Wyoming and gets on the Orange sub until it gets to the South Morrill sub. And then after that, it gets to North Platte where the crews are swapped and the power is serviced, or they just run through the pit. The train then heads down to Kearney sub until they get to milepost 152 just past Alda, Nebraska, and a little bit before Grand Island, where they have to slow down and eventually stop at the signals to let the conductor off. Once the conductor gets off, the train releases their brakes and they pull ahead until all the coal cars are clear of the switch, which means that in this process, which they are normally doing at like 10 miles an hour max, the crossings can get blocked up to like almost 40 minutes at a time. Once all the cars are clear, the switch is aligned, the conductor gets on either the rear DPUs if there are any, or he gets on the rear coal car, and they back up all the way through the crossings until they eventually get to the power plant lead. Once the train is unloaded, it's basically the reverse of what it is of doing the train there. They bring a locomotive, they hook up to the cars, bring them all the way back to the yard, locomotive runs around, or they had a DPU, whatever the case, and then they head out back west to get more loads. Now let's get into the fun part, the consists. Usually the power itself is a couple GEs, AC-44s, GEOs, and the occasional ACE. But what makes the train unique is the fact that it uses a lot of mainly XC&W cars, some of which still looking like they were brand new back in the 1990s. So with that introduction out of the way, why don't we go showing all the catches I've seen of this train? But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you guys learned something from this. This is Blake Strings and More. Thanks for watching. That green thing. Right outside of town. Nice shot of the engines pulling by. Huh, these coal cars have 2 airline hoses on them. Huh. Pretty long coal train. Looks like you're notched up a bit. Takes a lot to get a heavy train like this moving. Especially with all those coal, all that coal in it. And nice look at this old C&W car while it passes. Alright, I'll be back with the head engines. And here we are back with the engines. Took a while for this train to finally catch up with the engines again. There it goes. Oh! I think I can see the engines through the trees. Alright. Is it long hood forward? No way.
It's long hood forward. Nice. That is awesome. There it is. Looks like a Gevo. Backing onto the main line. I think I'm gonna zoom out now. Slightly readjust. Oh, it's throttling up that point. Oh, that's awesome. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Finish it. 3 C&W full hoppers. Nice. There's the 8016 again. idling back into the yard. There's pacing action. Man, that thing is bigger in person when you really up close to it. Nice sound of that GE chugging hard. That's an awesome sound. There it goes. Well, I think this is the last train I'm going to catch for today. Oh my god. Conductor's walking off. Finally gonna catch the coal train. Only been, I don't know, 2 years since this has actually caught them. So, yeah. I'll be back once the train comes to a stop. Yikes. That car hit something. Alright. DPUs are almost clear of the switch. Then the conductor will get on once he throws the switch, and then they'll be backing down to the coal plant or power plant. I love the variety of cars. Like, look at this car. It's C&W. That's pretty cool. Alright. Alright. And they're clear. Brakes just released. We'll be moving out. DPUs are shoving, or I guess pulling now. They're not DPUs anymore. Oh, and there's another train right behind it. Cool, we might have a meet. Well, we're definitely gonna have a meet. This train's going slower than, I don't know. Whatever is slower than this. Looks like a tanker. This came off the Marysville sub then, because I didn't see one on Carney Camp. And again, I haven't also checked that camp either. you go. Well, I'll call it there.